You want to be seen, not just looked at, not just noticed for a moment and forgotten an hour later. You want to walk into a room or into someone's life and carry something people feel before you explain yourself. You want to feel solid, chosen, desired, respected. Most people chase that feeling in the wrong direction. They work on the surface wording, timing, image, performance, trying to seem more interesting, available, impressive, desirable. But underneath, something desperate remains. And that desperation leaks through everything. The extra message you should not have sent, the explanation you offered when silence would have protected your dignity, the eagerness that looked like warmth but was really fear, the overextension you called honesty when it was really a plea not to be forgotten. A lot of what makes a person unattractive has little to do with appearance. It comes from need, from the posture of someone waiting to be confirmed by the outside world. If you do not see that clearly, you will keep trying to become magnetic while carrying the exact energy that repels people. Most people think it is normal to overthink every interaction, replay messages, and become more agreeable when they fear losing interest. But what they call normal is often just bondage. This is where Stoicism enters with a blade, not a blanket. The Stoics were not trying to make you more charming at the cost of your center. They were trying to make you free from impulse, fear, praise, rejection, fantasy, and emotional dependency. So if there are 6 words that can make you instantly more attractive, it is not because they are clever. It is because they declare independence. I don't need to be chosen. That is not bitterness, arrogance, or numbness. It is freedom. And when those words become true inside you, not performed but earned, something changes in your presence. You stop leaning. You stop bargaining. You stop radiating the hunger that makes other people feel responsible for your emotional survival. What replaces that hunger is the one quality no performance can fake: gravity. Neediness rarely looks dramatic. Usually it hides inside respectable language. Fear disguises itself as caution. Approval-seeking disguises itself as kindness. Emotional dependency disguises itself as love. Over-availability disguises itself as love. Over-availability disguises itself as sincerity. Self-abandonment disguises itself as effort. So a person tells himself he is just trying to be open, just trying to show interest, just trying to make things work. But often what is really happening is much less noble. He is trying to secure a result, reduce uncertainty, avoid rejection before it arrives, become so agreeable that he cannot be ignored. And every time he does that, he thinks he is increasing his attractiveness. In reality, he is advertising dependency. That is one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes what you call openness is just fear of not being enough without performance. And people feel that fear, even if they cannot name it. This is why someone can have all the right traits on paper and still feel less compelling than the person who speaks less, chases less, explains less, and remains inwardly settled. Because attraction is not built only from what you offer, it is built from what rules you. If anxiety rules you, people feel it. If validation rules you, people feel it. If fear of loss rules you, people feel it. If fear of loss rules you, people feel it. If your self-respect disappears the moment you desire something, people feel that too. What we call attractiveness is often just the visible expression of inner order. A person becomes compelling when they are not outsourcing their worth to the reactions of others. Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming disturbed by what lies outside your command. Epictetus taught that the moment you tie yourself to what is not yours to govern the opinions of others, the behavior of others, whether you are accepted, praised, desired, or understood, you have already made yourself a servant. That is the Stoic knife. It cuts directly between what is felt and what is true. You feel rejected, therefore you assume you are diminished. You feel uncertainty, therefore you assume you must close the gap. You feel silence, therefore you assume you must interpret, repair, or reach. The Stoics would ask a brutal question: what exactly has been harmed? Your body? No. Your character? only if you surrendered it. Your dignity, only if you traded it away. Then, what is hurting? Usually it is an image, an expectation, a fantasy, a private demand that reality should move in the direction of your longing. And when that demand is frustrated, people call the pain proof that they must do something. Text again, explain again, offer more, wait longer, lower the standard, pretend not to care, perform confidence. All of that is still bondage. Stoicism does not tell you not to care, it tells you not to kneel. Before a person becomes unattractive in action, he becomes captive in his inner world. This is the first chain. What rules your inner world? Most people never ask that seriously. A mood enters and they obey it. An intrusive thought arrives and they treat it like revelation. A delayed text or misread tone appears and suddenly their nervous system is no longer their own. This is how internal captivity works, not with bars, but with unquestioned obedience. You start believing every feeling deserves interpretation, every insecurity deserves attention, every fear deserves rehearsal. That is not sensitivity, that is disorder. Being human means you have impulses. Being undisciplined means you worship them. When you are internally captive, attractiveness disappears because your energy has no settled center. One message can lift you, one silence can dismantle you. One ambiguity can consume your thoughts for hours. Even if nobody sees the spiral directly, they feel its consequences. That is why Stoic discipline begins with perception, separating what happened from what your mind is adding to it. The message was short. That is what happened. She is losing interest. I am losing her. I should do something now before I disappear. That is your story. There is a gulf between those two things, and most people never master it. The undisciplined person collapses that distance instantly. He feels and then becomes the feeling. The disciplined person inserts space. He notices the surge. He does not bow to it. He watches the narrative try to recruit him into urgency, and he declines. That decline is power. You are not obliged to agree with every alarm your mind produces. You are not required to turn every insecurity into action. You do not have to answer every inner tremor with outer movement. One of the most attractive changes a person can make is to become less internally available to chaos, less reactive, less performative, more deliberate, more calm, more silent, more governed. But inner rule is not enough by itself. Even if a person wins a few battles in the mind, he still loses his life if his days remain weak. This is the second chain. What rules your day? Many lives are not ruined by catastrophe. They are dissolved by repetition, sleeping later than you said you would, starting the day in reaction instead of intention, checking your phone before meeting your own mind, letting distraction fracture the hour, letting comfort decide the pace, waiting for motivation as if discipline is supposed to arrive with applause. This matters more than people think, especially when they speak about attractiveness. Because time is visible character, how you spend a day is not separate from who you are. It is who you are repeated. If your attention is scattered, your presence will be scattered. If your habits are weak, your energy will be weak. Some people feel more grounded and quietly desirable for a simple reason. They keep promises to themselves. They wake when they said they would. They train when they do not feel like it. They handle responsibilities without negotiation. There is something deeply attractive about a person whose day does not have to be rescued by mood. The modern world trains the opposite. It teaches you to fragment your attention into small surrenders. Notifications, fantasy, avoidance, scrolling, indulgence. Their will is thinned out, their attention weakened, and a disordered day becomes a disordered self. Seneca wrote that people guard their property but are reckless with time, even though time is the one thing that cannot be restored. Today, the problem is worse because most people do not merely waste time, they leak it constantly. And every hour lived that way teaches the body a philosophy. Avoid effort, seek stimulation, escape silence, delay the hard thing, negotiate with standards. This is not a small lifestyle issue. It is moral training. If you cannot direct an ordinary day, you will not direct an extraordinary life. And that lack of direction shows up in attraction more than people admit, because structure creates force. A person with a relationship to duty moves differently. He speaks from firmer ground. He is less needy because he is occupied by reality, less desperate because his life has substance, less consumed by romantic uncertainty because he has not built his identity around being wanted. When a person has work to do, standards to maintain, a body to train, and impulses to govern, the world no longer gets easy access to his center. This is where many people lose years, not in one dramatic failure, but in postponement. I'll become disciplined once I feel clear. No. Clarity is often the reward of disciplined action, not the prerequisite for it. A strong day is not built by intensity, it is built by integrity. But even a disciplined inner world and a disciplined day can still be compromised by the third chain, the social chain. What rules you through other people? You can look composed on the surface and still be governed by people who are not even thinking about you. One delayed response and your peace shifts. One sign of attention moving elsewhere and suddenly you feel reduced. One person not choosing you and you begin questioning your value. That is social captivity. People do not just want connection. They want confirmation proof that they matter, proof that they are enough. That need makes people do strange things. They become over-accommodating. They lose standards privately while performing standards publicly. They pretend to be relaxed while monitoring every signal. They over-explain to avoid being misunderstood. They people-please so subtly they can still call it being good-hearted, but underneath they're still handing their center to someone else. Every time you let another person occupy inner territory they never earned, you weaken your own command. You start arranging yourself around anticipated reactions. You say less of what is true and more of what will keep approval flowing. And then you wonder why you no longer feel powerful in your own skin, because you are living for appearances instead of character. If your peace depends on how others see you, you are permanently unstable. If your confidence rises and falls with attention, you are easily ruled. If you need reciprocation to remain self-possessed, you are not free. You are rented reciprocation to remain self-possessed. You are not free. And yet millions live exactly that way. They check for signs. They read between lines. They measure their worth in responsiveness. They call it attraction. But much of the time it is simply dependency wrapped in romance. Real attractiveness is different. It is not hard to get. It is hard to disturb. It refuses to become needy in the presence of desire. The moment you stop trying to control how others respond, something in you unclenches. You no longer need to impress every room, be universally liked, chase clarity from people who enjoy giving confusion, or convert silence into reassurance. Your presence becomes heavier, cleaner, calmer. People feel that. Now we arrive at the hinge, the moment the chain becomes visible. It rarely looks dramatic, just a quiet, severe recognition. A person sits alone and finally sees what has been ruling him, not what hurt him, what ruled him. He sees how much energy he has spent trying to be selected. How many words were spoken from the fear of disappearing? How much softness was not kindness, but bargaining? How much effort was not devotion, but self-doubt? And hardest of all, he sees the cost, the hours lost in analysis, the standards abandoned in the name of connection, the self-respect thinned out by repeated overreaching. This is where the sentence becomes real. I don't need to be chosen, not as a slogan, as an awakening. The more a person reaches outward for validation, the more unstable his energy becomes. And the moment he stops that reach, not by pretending not to care, but by no longer making another person the site of his self-worth, his energy changes. It becomes quieter, stronger, more compelling. That realization is painful because it exposes how much of modern attraction advice is really just polished panic. Be more visible, more present, more available, more strategic. Sometimes what a person really needs is not more expression, it is less self-abandonment. That is the clarity point, the point where you stop saying, "This is just how attraction works," and begin saying, "This is what I have allowed fear to make of me." That sentence hurts, but it heals because it returns authorship. When you see that much of your suffering has been collaboration with fantasy, insecurity, compulsion, and the hunger to be chosen, you recover something essential: choice. So how do you break the chains? Not with performance, cynicism, gains, or pretending you are above desire. You break them through disciplined liberation. First, break the chain in the mind. Become a stricter gatekeeper of what gets authority inside you. A thought is not a command, an emotion is not a prophecy, an urge is not a truth. The attractive person is not the one who never feels insecurity. It is the one who is no longer governed by insecurity the moment it appears. Watch the mind create urgency. Watch it say more, or lose them. Check again. Fix the mood. If they do not choose you, something is wrong with you. And instead of fusing with that voice, observe it. Name it. Separate from it. Once you can see an impulse without obeying it, you are no longer identical to it. Practice this in the smallest moments. When you want to send the unnecessary message, wait. When you want to explain yourself to protect your image, pause. When your mind begins manufacturing a negative story from incomplete information, refuse to decorate it. Ask, what are the facts and what is my fear adding? Emotional regulation is not suppression. It is intelligent non-cooperation with exaggeration. The weak pattern says, if I feel it strongly, I must act on it. The disciplined pattern says, if I feel it strongly, I should examine it carefully. That shift alone can transform your presence, because the more mastery you have over your internal weather, the less you ask others to stabilize you. Second, break the chain in the day. Do not tell me about your confidence if your routine collapses every time your mood changes. Your days where attraction becomes embodied. Wake up with intention. Train your body. Protect your attention. Reduce useless stimulation. Handle responsibilities early. Become difficult to derail. This does not mean becoming robotic. It means becoming reliable to yourself. One reason needy energy becomes so intense is because a person has too little structure outside the object of desire. When life lacks order, romance becomes occupation. When purpose is weak, attention gets hijacked easily. When the day has no spine, every emotional event becomes the main event. So build a day that does not worship feeling. If you said you would read, read. If you said you would train, train. If you said you would stop checking every 5 minutes, stop. These small acts do more than improve discipline. They repair identity. Every kept promise tells the nervous system, we are not helpless here. We can withstand uncertainty. We can want without kneeling. Also learn the cost of overstimulation. Too much noise makes a person porous. Too much digital intake weakens attention. Too much reactive consumption makes stillness feel unbearable. And a person who cannot tolerate stillness will always struggle not to chase distraction in the form of people. Guard your inputs. Guard the first hour of your day. Guard the last hour before sleep. That discipline is not restrictive, it is restorative. Third, break the chain in your relationship to the world. Can you be rejected without becoming smaller? Misunderstood without becoming frantic? Face silence without becoming frantic? Face silence without filling it. Endure uncertainty without rushing to anesthetize it. Remain yourself when someone fails to see your value, because the world will not always affirm you. People will leave, delay, misread, withdraw, compare, project, disrespect, overlook, and disappoint. If every one of those moments has the power to disorganize your center, then your center was never yours. The Stoic move is not emotional deadness. It is choosing not to hand your inner government over to circumstance. Someone is cold, not yours to control. Someone chooses another, not yours to control. Someone underestimates you, not yours to control. What remains yours? Your conduct, your restraint, your interpretation, your standard, your intration, your standard, your next action. This is where dignity is built, not when life cooperates, but when it does not. Weak behavior begs for immediate repair. Disciplined behavior can endure open space. Weak behavior treats every discomfort like an emergency. Disciplined behavior can carry discomfort without making it contagious. You stop asking, "How do I make them choose me?" and begin asking, "How do I remain worthy of my own respect regardless?" That question makes a different human being. And from that human being emerges a different kind of attractiveness, not decorative, not manipulative, not loud, earned. Imagine the person formed by these choices. He still feels desire, but does not become a servant in its presence. He still feels uncertainty, but does not let it drag him into theater. He still values connection, but does not bargain with his dignity to keep it. He still experiences disappointment, but no longer converts it into self-erasure. What no longer controls him? Delayed responses, inconsistent attention, momentary praise, cheap validation, the temptation to over-explain, the urge to chase, the fantasy that being chosen by the wrong person would finally heal the old ache. Because he no longer makes these emotional bargains, his peace deepens, not the peace of being admired, but the peace of no longer being internally rented. That peace changes posture, speech, timing, and what he is willing to tolerate. A stronger identity changes your threshold for shame. You begin to feel ashamed, not by being rejected, but by abandoning yourself in order to avoid rejection. That is maturity. That is self-respect, and strangely, that is also when a person becomes more attractive. Because what people often call magnetism is simply the felt presence of someone who is not available for emotional slavery. He is warmer because he is not bargaining, calmer because he is not reaching, more grounded because he is standing on something real. And that reality can be spoken in 6 words. I don't need to be chosen. Notice what those words do not mean. They do not mean, I do not care. They do not mean, I need no one. They do not mean, I am above love. They mean, I will not reduce myself in order to secure what should be freely given. I can desire deeply without becoming desperate. I would rather lose attention than lose command of myself. That is why those 6 words make you more attractive instantly. Not because the world rewards indifference, but because life responds to self-possession, and self-possession is rare. Most people are possessed by their fears, their cravings, their wounded pride, their need to be mirrored back as important. The person who steps out of that economy feels different immediately because the atmosphere changes first. The final chain is the habit of returning to what weakens you. You can hear the truth, feel it deeply, even speak it beautifully, and still go back to the checking, back to the overthinking, back to the performance, back to making another person's attention your emotional climate. This is why understanding alone is not liberation. Insight without discipline becomes another form of self-deception. You begin to admire the truth instead of obeying it. That cannot be the end. If this means anything, let it mean this: stop protecting what has been imprisoning you. Stop calling neediness love. Stop calling anxiety intuition. Stop calling overextension sincerity. Stop calling overextension sincerity. Stop calling inner chaos personality. And stop calling the hunger to be chosen a harmless weakness. It has cost too much already: attention, peace, years, dignity. The beautiful thing is that no one has to grant you freedom from this. You can take it back, quietly, deliberately, by mastering the mind instead of obeying it, by structuring the day instead of negotiating with it, by meeting the world without handing it your center, and by making those 6 words not an attitude but a law. I don't need to be chosen. I need to remain whole. Because in the end, the most attractive thing about a human being is not beauty, charm, status, or perfect words. It is this: they cannot be bribed away from themselves. Never beg for a place in someone else's mind by abandoning your place in your own.